Hello and welcome back to the Menagerie series. First off, I apologize for there being such a long delay since the last episode. I was sick and that developed into a sore throat, which also became a very bad cough. And so I was having troubles breathing and speaking and all kinds of issues. And so I wasn't able to do any type of recording. But I am feeling better now. I still have some lingering issues, but for the most part, everything is cleared up. I'll, of course, edit out any coughing fits that I get into. But anyway, enough of that. Today, I am coming to you from atop my flying barge. And this is it here. This is with the help of the Archimedes Ships Mod. And the way this works is you can build your vessel or your ship pretty much however you would like out of whatever blocks you would like. You can see here I've got a very simple wood deck. I've got fencing around it so that I don't fall off accidentally. And glowstone for some lights here. I even got a bed, a crafting table, some chests, and in fact I'm going to dump off some of this in here for now. Some chests, and I made some little posts that go up to this area, which up here. Now, once you have set up your ship however you would like it to look, all you need to do is put down this block here, which is, I believe, called the ship marker. Let me go ahead and turn on the highlight tooltips, I think they're called. Yes. This thing here, which appears at the top of the screen. I normally don't operate with it on simply because it's not incredibly useful most of the time. When you're maybe first starting out with some mods and you don't know what they are, it is. But most of the time you're looking at stuff that you know what it is, and so it's just an added thing in the middle of your screen that you don't really need. But yeah, this is called the ship marker. And the ship marker is fairly easy to make. It is simply wood, sticks, and iron. As I said, very simple. Once you plop that down on your creation, however you've built it, it will turn that into a ship. Now, if you have it over water, it will be a floating vessel, a boat, a ship, if you will. And you can then direct it wherever you would like it to go on the water. If you would like to have a flying ship, then you need to make these air balloons. There you go, air balloon. And the air balloons are actually fairly easy as well. They are just a piece of string and a piece of wool, and you can, of course, use any color that you like. However, in order for your vessel to fly, you need about 40% or more of the total blocks that make up your flying vessel have to be these air balloons. And so that is why this looks kind of bulky up top here, because I just kept adding them until I had enough. And in fact, underneath the vessel, I have my original set of air balloons, and I'll show you those in just a minute when I explain some other things. So again, build your vessel however you like, plop down your ship marker, and then you have a vessel that will either float on the water, or if you have enough air balloons, you can get it to fly. And then you can also make these measurement gauges, and they are not necessary and they're not too difficult to make. There's two different kinds of gauges. One would have more information than the other, but as you can see, the recipe for them, not too bad. Gold, iron, redstone, and some glass panes. And so what happens is, in order to fly, and I'm going to turn off this tooltip thing now because, again, it's just sort of in the way and not terribly useful. In order to fly, you just right-click on the ship marker, and now you are in control of the ship. And as you can see, we can rotate left, we can rotate right, we can go, now we are moving forward. It's not a very fast ship, but now we're moving forward, and now I can slow it down, and you cannot, and you can go in, oh, I guess you can. I didn't know if you could go in reverse, but you can go in reverse like so, and come to a direct halt, and I can go down. You can kind of see I'm going downward, and I can go upward as well. And if you were watching the ship's gauges during any of that time, you'll see how they update while I'm moving about. So just like with a minecart or a horse or a pig, you left shift to dismount the ship, if you will, and that's all there is to it. Now, one thing you might ask yourself is, you will notice that these blocks are in alignment with the world. So if I get into the ship and turn it so I'm at an angle, maybe like so, my blocks are no longer in line with the world, and I left shift, and to get out of it, what happens? Well, it will snap the ship back to being in alignment with the world, so there's no problems there. Now, having this vessel is very handy for different things. You might be able to tell I at one point went searching for bees, and I did find some tropical bees that I did use then to make a few more aviaries over there. And now what I've been doing is I've been cutting down these redwood trees because I need a lot of redwood. And you can see here I've been gathering planks of redwood. So we'll talk about why that is in a minute, but I'll show you what's nice about this is I can fly my flying barge over close to one of these trees like so. And we come to a halt and disconnect myself from the ship. And so now, as you know, when you're cutting down trees in Minecraft, the hardest thing sometimes is the fact that you have to start at the bottom of the tree. Because you cut down the bottom parts of the tree, then the top parts you can't reach, so you have to, make a post, a nerd pole as they call it, to gather up. It's of course a lot easier to cut down the tree if you can start at the top, or if you have a mod like the Tree Capitator mod, or even the special axes with the Tinker's Construct, then of course that's a whole different story. But assuming you don't have those, you of course want to start at the top of the tree. So this has been nice for me because with my portal gun, and I built these little posts as you see them here for a reason. My portal gun, I'll put down my yellow portal right there. And now, with the help of my jumping spell, I can jump over to this tree. I actually jump a little too much. At which point now I can chop down the tree, choppy, choppy, choppy. I'm not going to do that right now because it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it does take some time, and I don't feel like wasting you guys seeing that. And when I get done, of course, this whole tree would be chopped down, and you can see I had a portal there. But assuming that tree wasn't there, I can find another place to put down the blue portal, maybe even on this tree here. And I can just simply jump through there, and I am back up here on my floating barge. At which point I can then drive it over to another tree if I need to, or just start at another chopping of another tree. So this floating barge has been very useful for me in being able to do that. And one thing I didn't get to show you, just for some silliness, is that from down here, there is the undercarriage of my floating barge. And all of those colored air balloons were from the colored wool that I had left over from the Christmas tree project, which is still over there. I have just disconnected the blinking lights and the sound effects for it, but I still have the Christmas tree up, and this was all the extra wool left over. So when I decided to build this barge, I went ahead and used that so I wouldn't have to try to grow new wool. Just figured it would be a lot simpler that way, and it was, but it did make for a very colorful random design there on the bottom, which was not intentional. And then you can see where I ran out of those, and then that's when I switched to the straight blue because I had blue sheep, and because blue is perhaps my favorite color. Now, as I mentioned, I've been cutting down these redwood trees, and I've been getting a lot of redwood. I've got a whole bunch of redwood here. I haven't yet gotten to the point where I am replanting the redwood saplings, but I will do that, fear not, tree lovers. I'm not going to deforest this redwood forest and just leave it that way. I will replant them. But why am I cutting down so much redwood? Well, it's because of this over here. Now, let's go ahead and make an attempt. What do I got here? Yellow. Let's make an attempt to get over here. This is going to be a bit difficult, I think, but let's see if I made it. Oop, I did. All right. Now we will use our jump spell again to go back. So, what I have here, and this is what I have decided to do in as far as the creation of my menagerie, if you will. I've got a chunk loading error here, so just load that up. There we go. What is this? This, my friends, is my ark. That's what it is. So, if you are a person who knows anything about the Bible or have just happened to watch some various Saturday morning type of cartoons, and so before I get into that, this is what I usually do. I put the blue portal here. I can go through that to here, at which point I can get out wood, and if I need to craft things, I can do it here, or chop down more trees, and then when I'm ready, I simply go straight on back over here. All right, so this, as I said, this is going to be my recreation of the ark from the Genesis chapter in the Bible. So what we have here is an attempt to do that, and it's not done. As you can see, I've put in the top and I've put in the bottom, and so far that's all that I have. Now, if you go and look in the Bible, you will see that the character in the Bible, of course, Noah, was commanded to build an ark, and he was told to build an ark that was 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits tall. Now, if you look in a dictionary, modern age dictionary, you will see that the length of a cubit is 18 inches, roughly. Or I think it might actually be defined as 18 inches, which is fine and all, except for the fact that the cubit of today's age is not really the same as the cubit for the ancient Hebrews. I don't want to get too biblical scholarly on this, but if you go back and research it, you will find that the ancient Egyptians, which is where the Hebrews were enslaved at the time of the writing of the first several books of the Bible, they had a longer cubit than what we think of as the cubit of today's day. Now, officially, the cubit was defined as the length from your elbow to the tip of your most outstretched finger. And, of course, the official cubit would have been the cubit of the leader of the Egyptians. Now, whether or not his arm was actually measured, we may never really know, but obviously he would always want to have had people know, or at least believe, that his arm was very long, because, oh, that's a strange way to be sleeping, I guess. Because that would have been a sort of a prideful type of egocentric type of a thing to have had a long arm. But anyway, if you do the research on that, you will find that that cubit was actually closer to about 20.5, almost 21 inches long. Now, obviously, one cubit, a difference of 3 inches, doesn't seem like much. However, when you're talking about something that's 300 cubits long, you're talking about 300 times 3, you're talking about 900 inches. And so 900 inches, what is that, roughly 70, should be about 75 feet or so. So that's a significant difference when you're dealing with such large scale numbers. Now, 21 inches as far as a cubit is roughly about, it's a little over half of a meter. And what I have done is I've rounded it down to half of a meter. And the reason for that, if you don't know already, is that the official measurement in Minecraft is that each block is 1 cubic meter. Let me head back over here. So this block of glowstone here, from here to here is 1 meter. From here to here is 1 meter. and from here to here. So each aspect, each face of the block is 1 meter. It's 1 meter cubed. So with each cubit being half of a meter, that made things somewhat simple for me because it meant that a 300 cubit long arc is going to be 150 blocks, which is the number of blocks I have from there to there. And 50 cubits wide translates to 25 blocks, which is what I have from here to there. And 30 cubits tall would be 15 blocks tall, which is what I have from there to there. Now, there is mention in the Bible of the measurements, which, as I said, 300 cubits by 50 cubits by 30 cubits tall. And then it also says that there shall be 3 decks on the inside of the ark, which I will, of course, build. But other than that, there are not a lot of specifications on what the ark should look like. Now, a lot of people will say, and again, I'm not trying to get too biblically scholar. I'm not wanting to be that person, but a lot of people will say that the lack of description is suspicious or something of that nature. The truth of the matter is that it's probably just something that it wasn't considered necessary to have to dictate it out. If somebody told you to build a house and make sure it's got 2 stories and it's a certain number of feet wide and a certain number of feet long and stuff, they probably wouldn't necessarily have to say, okay, it's going to have a living room that's exactly this size, and it will have exactly 3 bedrooms, and it will have 2 bathrooms, and it will be, they could just figure that you basically know what a house looks like, and that you have the ability to make the house with whatever minor specifications that they do list for you. So I think that the same thing was probably true about the ark. It was build an ark, it's got to be at least this long, and it's got to be this long and this wide and this tall. But other than that, it will just be like any other ark, and so just assumed that Noah would know what it should look like. Now, the nice thing with that, of course, is it means that it gives me a little bit of freedom in how I want to design it and how I want to make it look. I'm not necessarily going to have to be restricted to a certain look, which will allow me to have a little bit of freedom in doing that, which is, of course, nice. So, but to give you an idea of the scale of this, and you can see here, actually I've got that witchwood tree in the way, but there's the arc, and if you look at my mini map, and let's blow that up there, here is the arc from here to here. This is the 300 cubits long. So consider that. Here's my house, for example. Here's one of the larger quarries that I've dug. It wasn't the largest quarry I could dig, but it's a quarry that I built. Here is the village over here. So yeah, I mean, think about that. 150 blocks from here to here. That's 300 cubits, and that's a large vessel. That is a pretty large ship. So yeah, it's quite amazing when you put it out there like that. But also, it's used up a lot of wood. Now, in the Bible, there's the Christmas tree. I just thought I'd show that I still have it there. I just don't have it running or activated. In the Bible, the Christmas tree was made out of gopher wood. That's what the translation of that is. Now, there isn't such a thing as gopher wood officially, and so it's unknown whether that might have been some sort of slang or nickname even of some type of wood, or if there was some errors in translation that caused it to say gopher wood. But more than likely, he would have been commanded to build this out of whatever local materials he would have access to. And so what I determined was that given that kind of scenario, what I have access to was this redwood forest right over here. Now, I have access to other forests, of course. That redwood forest isn't the only forest nearby, but it was fairly close. And the redwood trees are big, and they provide a lot of wood, which, of course, building something like this would require quite a bit of wood. So yeah, so since what I have is the redwood tree forest, that is what I've been using to build my ark. So as I said, I will finish up the build of this. This was just the skeletal structure of it, which I wanted to show just so you can get an idea of the scale of it. I still need to put on the sides, and then I need to build the decks in the middle. There's supposed to be 3 decks, so there'll be a bottom, a middle, and a top, which is nice because since it is 15 cubits, or sorry, 15 blocks tall, that means 5 blocks per deck, which is a nice round number to work with. Makes things easy. And then I'll try to make the outside of it roughly boat-shaped and kind of the way I envision that it should look, based upon some research of my own. And then once that's done, we'll be able to start filling our ark with 2 of every kind of animal. And we will start off with the easy ones, like Mr. Pig right here. Hello, Mr. Pig. Hi. What are you doing? What are you looking at? You must be hungry. Okay. Or some of the horses that we have. We have plenty of horses floating around here too. Like we got Mr. Horse right up here, looking majestically. Oh, he's a floating horse. He's a flying horse. Mr. Horse, are you on drugs? You're flying. Oh, there we go. It was like it's like one of those old Bugs Bunny, the Roadrunner cartoons, where until he looks down, he didn't know that he's floating in the air, and he suddenly looked down and was like, oh, and then he fell down. Anyway, so yeah, we'll start filling our ark with 2 of every animal, and that will be what we will hopefully be able to work on next. So hopefully by the next episode, I will have finished the building of the ark itself. We will start collecting animals to put inside of it, and yeah, so again, I apologize for the delay in getting this episode out. Hopefully I should be able to be back on track now to get out at least 1 and maybe 2 episodes a week if I can. Oh, there's Mr. Sheep. We'll get Mr. Sheep in there too. And thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.